I'm just an ordinary girl. Like, I didn't come from like a business background or didn't have loads of money in the bank when we started the business. And I think what people see Louise as is like it's a hope and inspiration that even when bad things happen to you in life, it's how you choose to react to them is what will get you through.
Hi everybody and welcome to FEBE Founder Stories, and I've got two of the loveliest people I think you could ever wish to meet, Jack and Liv. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Really
How
well,
are you?
thank
I'm good. Is it Liv or Olivia?
Either.
You don't
mind.
care?
No, don't care.
Good start. All right,
Yeah.
so I've got it wrong. Anyway, so Louise, you guys, how would you describe what you are? I don't want to get the words wrong. I was going to say jewellery business, but is that how you describe it? What would you say?
I would say that we are a sweat-proof, waterproof jewellery brand at an accessible price point.
Okay, now that is slick. That's
Good,
exactly
yeah,
the
that's
way I
really strong.
described it. And you guys are the founders?
Yes.
When did you start the business?
We started it in January 2021, so 3 years old.
Okay, and your growth has been absolutely awesome, right? I mean, let's big you up, because growth is such a hard thing to achieve, and you've done it. I mean, your figures are incredible. How have you done it? What do you think has enabled you to, in 3 years, create a business that has grown so fast?
I think it's a few things. I think it's product market fit was definitely there, and we knew that sort of from the start. And I do encourage people that, I'm not saying that we put the product out market and it started selling off the bat, but we knew that there were people out there who really wanted it, because when we started getting feedback from customers, when we did put it out there and we were advertising, we were seeing a return. So product market fit's probably one of them. Really good at digital marketing, just being transparent, and that's probably our biggest strength.
Really?
Yeah, just in terms of like paid media, I've got a bit of a background in e-com, but we know that's not what's going to take the business to the next level now. So that's the journey we're trying to go on, is more brand building.
So that's two. What's the third?
Third,
I
go on.
would say the third is I'm obsessed. I love the brand, I love the product, and like I just love waking up every day and working on the business. And I genuinely think that is why we've had so much success, because if I didn't enjoy doing it, then I would probably resent it and it wouldn't do as well as it has done.
Yeah. Now, on that note, meeting you guys, I remember when you invited, I met you obviously at the Fuck Ups, and I came and met you both at your office, and I just had such a giggle. It was so lovely, so much warmth amongst your team as well, lovely office as well. Everything was just great, and I left there buzzing. What I think is so beautiful about your business is something that's quite rare, in the sense that this is in honour of your mother.
Yeah.
So every single day you have the honour of being able to represent your mum, who I mean, what you're doing is just wicked. So tell us in terms of how that has kind of been such an inspiration for the brand as well.
Yeah, definitely. So I think when I started a business, I didn't really have any like business background, but I knew that if I started something, I would have to be like truly passionate about the product, which I am, but also when you have an external pressure like keeping you going, it's not pressure, like if you have an external force keeping you going, that is what, for me, like I get to be surrounded by her name every single day, and it's like such a driving force, and it honestly makes me like, when Louise does well, it just feels like I'm like living on her name and like honouring her in a really nice way, which is good.
And hence why does that create the obsession?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, no, it does. Yeah.
I remember though at the beginning when we were like, oh, what should we call it? Or Liv was obviously thinking about starting the business.
Yeah.
And then you were like, I think I'm going to call it Louise. And then I was like, well, you could, but you do realise then I'm not letting this fucking thing fail. Like, if we're doing this, like, we've got to go all in. And obviously we have since that start.
By using the word
but it was
pressure.
like, I would refuse to let it fail or not get into what it can become. And we still have that mindset today.
Yeah.
And how, I'm not letting the cat out of the bag here, but you guys are together.
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
we
so
are.
that's not a secret, right?
No, we went on a shoot yesterday though, and the girl at the end, she was like, so do you have a boyfriend? I was like, yeah, it's Jack. She had no idea. I was like, God, maybe we should like be more coupley, but yeah. We're very professional, I think. We like to keep it professional.
Do you know what? It's really difficult, isn't it? Because my business partner's my wife, and when people say, when people are like really surprised, at first you think, oh, that's great, because it means a professional. And then the part of you's thinking, oh shit, does that mean there's just we show no love between each other? And you start, it's a bit of a head fuck in that kind of way.
Yes, that's what I thought. I was like, God, maybe I need to love him a bit more.
But now obviously, well, with the business is built a bit. If you look into it, a lot of businesses are built in that they're either brother and sister. There's a
Yeah.
big women's jewelry brand in Europe who's a brother and sister, and there's another one which is like where people have just been in a relationship and they've built sort of an empire together. But I suppose you have that level of support from a business partner as well.
So, business was started 3 years ago.
Yeah.
How was it in terms of, was it a quick start? Because I know your growth has been pretty explosive, but you know, in terms of therefore just starting it, what was it like initially? Is it something that was, as I say, quick out the blocks, or did you really have to work to see that momentum coming through?
So I've
got a funny story here.
Oh,
so
go on, you do
So we
the
obviously started the brand. I knew like, okay, well, we need to get the website up easy. We need to start running ads. And it was during lockdown where Facebook was, you could almost put £1 in and get a few pounds, like £5 back. In terms of return was really, really good because everyone was buying online. Advertising space was cheap. It was before iOS 14. So you could really I had other businesses where you could really, really scale up fast. So we started Louise, obviously invested into a photo shoot. I've told Liv she can leave her job. I'll front the money for the business for the 6 months. And she's like, caught me on the offer. So I'm like, okay, we're in quite deep here.
He told me on the Thursday and I quit on the Friday.
Really?
Yeah.
What were you doing?
I
before
was in, I would just buy advertising space for big corporations.
that? Okay.
Boring.
Boring
as
job,
hell.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
so boring.
So I gave her an offer
Any
and she just
bosses
bit my
watching
hand
this,
up,
you're
yeah.
probably going to break that off. You were happy, weren't you?
Totally.
But then I obviously started running the ads, but like I say, £100 a day budget. So really, that's really small.
Yeah.
But you start running it, you obviously see like users click, come onto the website, you start seeing the results come through, and it's like, Liv's obviously in my ear like, how's it going? And I'm just like, yep, just still running the ads. But then I was like, fuck it, we'll just build up the spend. But it took about £500 to £600 before we got our first acquisition. And at the time, the jewellery was only like 30 quid. So we've lost £470 on acquisition for the first customer. And that was obviously the main way. Then we started so I'm thinking in my head, God, but this is going to be difficult. Obviously we were resilient. We found we did manage
And he told me it was going really well.
I told her it was just going really well.
Oh, that's sweet.
I was like, okay, so any day now, is it like a sale going to come through? He was like, yeah, it just takes time. I was like, okay, cool.
Describe, so you were so kind when you came and gave me a lovely thing to give my wife, but what do you think, in your own words, what do you think is, to have the growth that you are means it's a beautiful product. What do you think is creating people to want to buy this?
Yeah, so I think for me, because I would say that I am the target customer, like I make things that I like in like a selfish way, but obviously it means that if someone else out there does want it as well. And when we first started, I was like, I love jewellery, like always been obsessed with jewellery, but I'm so lazy with it. I never like to take it off. So when I'm in the gym or in the shower, so all my jewellery, unless it was real gold, was just like, it was just not good. It was
Really?
just like, I couldn't wear it after like a month or two. So I was like, if I start this business, I need to solve this problem, not only for myself, but for everyone else. So I started researching into different materials and metals, and I came across stainless steel. And in the beginning, I was like, this feels like sorcery, like this feels way too good to be true. But I ordered some samples and was wearing them like day in, day out, like sauna, shower, everything. And I was like, oh my God, this product is actually like living up to like what it says on the tin. Yeah, so I think because that problem was so prominent for myself, I was like, well, it's got to be for everyone else. And obviously when we put it out to market, people are just responding so well to it. Like we get comments like all the time. I think as well, like I often get some messages from people saying like, oh, I've lost someone, like I heard about your story and it's like really inspiring to me. And I think what people like about us is that like I'm just an ordinary girl. Like I didn't come from like a business background or didn't have loads of money in the bank when we started the business. And I think what people see Louise as is like it's a hope and inspiration that even when bad things happen to you in life, it's how you choose to react to them is what will get you through.
Well, let's go into that if we may, because resilience and persistence are two unbelievably difficult traits to have.
Yeah.
But if you have them, then I think, as well as having obviously great products and great customer experience, you're on the path to being able to achieve that.
Yeah.
I guess from your experience, Liv, is that resilience something that has just embedded in you and helped to really bring into this business, I guess? Has that kind of moulded you?
Yeah, definitely. I think I get my resilience from my dad. He is so resilient and tough. And
yeah.
He is just he could get through anything. So I think it's always been ingrained in me from a really young age.
So it's in your DNA.
Yeah, for sure. And my granddad also had his own business. My dad had his own business. So it's always been, when hard times happen to you, it's not just give up and go home. It's like, okay, how can we get through this? What's the solution to it? And I think that mindset with Louise is definitely something that has helped us, because there's just, it has to succeed. So you have to keep going through the hard times.
It has to succeed.
Has to succeed.
Yeah.
Because as you said right at the beginning, if we do this, failure is not.
We're big on like,
option.
at least in the business as well, like what words we use. Like we'll never say we'll try. Like we either do or we don't.
Really?
We don't try. Yeah, we're not going to try get on FEBE 100. We either are or we aren't. But it's true. But if we put our mind to something, we'll make it happen.
So in terms of growth, 3 years, 0 to 6, something again. I actually think this is how we spoke about stalking you and finding you. But obviously you landed, in terms of investors, they don't get a bigger gold mark, kind of platinum stamp than Steve Hewitt, who was the former CEO of Gymshark. How did that come about? Because congratulations, what a person to have in your team, on your team.
Yeah, no, he's a great guy. Like he's done a huge amount for us already. How it came about is, so it was only probably, when was it, a year or so ago, when I actually went full-time in Louise. At the time I sort of was just working on it a few hours a week. Liv obviously had the business and a couple of employees. Then we had a really big Black Friday 2022, really big Christmas, sold all of our stock. And I was like, Jesus, I should probably take this seriously. So
You literally sold the whole damn stock?
Yeah, we had no stock in January and February.
Wow.
So our year on year looks great, which is really good. But we had no stock, and I was like, Jesus, like we could turn this into an absolute proper business. Because at the time it wasn't like a lifestyle business, but it allowed Liv to leave her job. It was making good money. And I thought it would take longer than it did. So then I knew that just from my like paid media background and understanding it, I knew I could get the business to a certain level. So keep further bigger than we are now, but it becomes a point where it gets harder to acquire customers at like basically a positive contribution. So you're not losing money on first purchase, because the more you spend, the harder it gets to, you start after spending more to acquire customers. So I was like, how do we get to like 50 million? How do we get to 100 million? Because that's where we want to take it.
That's where you're going to get to.
That's where we're going to get to. So I had an employee at the time from another business who was an ex-Gymshark, and we obviously everyone in the UK like idolises the unicorn businesses. And I was like, you just need to get me a meeting with someone from Gymshark. And he was like, I don't care who, like they obviously know something we don't. So then found online that Steve had obviously started his consultancy business. Found a website, just plugged in as like, right, we need to do it. It says like minimum, we weren't turning over 5 million at the time, but we had a really big Christmas.
10 million,
whatever it was, we just lied about to make sure we could get a meeting in. Managed to get on a call, like not bypass the first call, but like ticked box 1, then managed to have like a consulting day with Steve where they try and understand your business. It then came about, we had a few sessions which were like, we paid for and tried to understand. Obviously really got on with him, so we went up to Birmingham. And then it was probably 6 months after that that Steve wanted to invest into the business. We weren't looking for an investor, so at the time we said no.
You said no?
Yeah.
He did. I was like,
I was like, I knew sort of what was going on, and I was like, look guys, I was like, Liv and Ollie, like in this meeting, I think Steve's going to say he wants to invest, because he invested into a few other businesses. And I just had that feeling, and I was like, what are we going to say? And they were like, yes! And I was like, when someone says they want to invest, the first thing you can do is say no. Because that just makes them want it even more. It's like, if we want a bad deal, we say yes.
Yeah.
So we said no. Like,
so you said no?
Yeah,
so I was sat there like, oh my God, I can't believe he's about to say no.
I don't even think Steve knows.
Do you think you
this.
gave it away? Or did you,
Probably.
did you stay cool?
I could never play poker, honestly.
No.
I can't lie for any.
couldn't.
Oh, I'm so bad
Yeah,
at
so
lying.
we said sorry, unfortunately, we're not, like, we don't need investment. And then obviously
This time I was like, oh my God.
plot worked, because he obviously wanted it more then. So we came to a deal which has like been really fair for the business. I think fair for himself, but I think he's very much like, he's not looking at this for Louise to make loads of money. Like he's done a huge amount. He's extremely charitable, and I think he really resonates with like this Liv story. Gymshark obviously has a bit of a story around it with Ben Francis, but I think Liv's is a lot more, like you said at the beginning, like it really touches home for a lot of people, and the message we're trying to spread is really, really positive. So I think that's more of the reason why I wanted to be part of it.
What's the dynamic in terms of, you know, you two? I think you said at the beginning, I'm trying to remember what you said, but you're obsessed about the brand and the story.
Yeah, brand and product.
And Jack?
Business side.
Business. Mr. Business.
He's definitely
Obsessed is
like,
the wrong word.
no, he's like the driving force behind anything that we do, especially the business. Like I think.
Thank you. Never said that.
Oh, isn't this lovely?
Therapy.
I honestly don't think the business would be where it is without Jack. Like if I was in charge, it would just be like this frilly little thing on the sideline. Honestly,
Little shop on Notting Hill High Street.
Yeah, I would have spent so much on like photo shoots, and like the makeup artists would be amazing, but we wouldn't be making any money.
But my goodness, it works.
Yes.
Because the chemistry between the three of you, which was, you know, and I can see now, it felt like three awesome friends in a room, and I can see why. Because obviously you two are as tight as anything, but Ollie was worked for nothing, helping you.
Yeah, no, it has been pivotal, like, to the success of the business. I think that is because we all trust each other, like, very, very deeply. Like, we'd never have to sign contracts between each other and do all the stuff like that as founders, ever. Like, very much like a family, effectively.
What do you think has enabled you to start to really get the great following? Because again, you know, getting followers on social is tricky. Just, I think, to help give some insights into people watching this and some hope and some real inspiration, what are some of the nuggets that we can take from in terms of how you're doing it and some of the advice you can give to people watching this?
Yeah, I would say one of the main, like holistically, I think you just have to do something for a long period of time in order to get a reward from something.
Yep.
Like lots of people say, oh, it's like an overnight success. And it's like, well, no, I've worked day in and day out for 3 years in order for us to get here.
Yep.
So I think realising that things aren't going to happen quickly.
Yep.
I think also, like for me, I want everything to be perfect all of the time, and I think that can definitely hold people back quite a lot of the time. Yeah,
so
I
things
think
really grate you if they're not perfect.
Oh my god, like I will the niggliest of things, like something's the wrong colour, or it drives me mad. So I think obviously that is a good quality to have in a business, but I also think lots of people let that hold them back, so they focus too much on the small things, whereas like if I focused on the small things in the beginning, we probably wouldn't have had a business, because the content we used to put out was crap. Like so bad.
Why?
In the beginning we had no money, like the model wasn't really a model, the photographer had done one photo shoot before, he did it for like £100, and like, so if I had wanted it to be perfect, I would never have done it. So I think it's about like having that sweet balance of like, okay, I know I don't have a lot of money and we don't have a lot of budget, but let's get something out there, and then you'll slowly compound on it and positively improve all the time.
It's this saying, I'm sure I've got it a little bit wrong, but you're just making me smile, because I had a great saying, which is if the most important thing is to start quick, because if you're not embarrassed by your first things you started, then you started too late. You know? And it seems that's what you're saying. Just damn well start. Yeah. And you probably have a nice little giggle at some of the things as you do now, because you're at the point whereby you can take massive pride. And satisfy that perfectionist in you.
Yeah, for sure. Like Jack I would wear the jewellery and he would take photos of me on this like rubbish camera. I'd be like, make sure you don't get my chin in it. And I'd be like, because I didn't want to be in the photo, and it would be just of a black jumper with necklaces. And I think like people don't see that now. People just see, oh, the lovely expensive photo shoots. And it's like, but you have to start somewhere. And it's like, I don't want to take away from that beginning bit where it was a bit scrappy.
Yeah. In terms of the dynamic again between you guys, I think again this is why I loved coming over to hang out with you, and it's such an honour it really is an honour to have you in our gang this year, because you know, I think the friendships and the relationships that we all create within FEBE is pretty special. It's lovely when you have two people that love each other. But in terms of that, I'm sure at times that love is tested, right? I mean, running a business, living with someone is hard enough, and seeing them at the end of the day, let alone when you spend every goddamn minute together. Tell me what that's like.
No, it is we don't argue. I know that sounds crazy, but we don't argue. I think.
Right, first of all then, teach everybody. No,
I think we're very, we really get on, and we're very supportive, and I think we're also like realistic. Like we know things are going to be hard, but like all of this is like if it all goes to shit, who cares? Do you know what I mean? We'll just do something else. We'll just start again. Like there's not that, it won't. But there's, I don't know what you mean. It's about. I don't really like. I have things. It sounds crazy, and people will think I'm crazy. But I've got reminders. I read to myself every single morning. So if I have a big lesson in my life, so I've like, I had a big robbery and it affected my last business quite badly. I'll make a note or have a reminder. Get insurance. So I know it sounds ridiculous, but it nearly wiped me out. So as long as I read that every day, Louise has got the best insurance money can buy.
Really?
Yeah, but I've got all of these, and the first one I read is like family matters more than anything. So it's like, for us, we're effectively a family. So all of the business does really matter, and we are all in. But do you know what I mean? It doesn't. Things don't matter. If a photo shoot doesn't go as well, it's all about how can we apply that positive mindset to it. Okay, well, what did we learn? Doesn't mean our standards are low. Our standards are higher than, like, we find it hard to work with a lot of people because their standards aren't high enough. Really? Really, really hard. Yeah, we get through a lot of, not people in terms of staff, in terms of like agencies, and it's all photographers.
So it's a frustration if it's
yeah, it's perfectionist. But
I think the reason why that we don't argue is because when you're with someone and you dedicate your life to them, you have to be accepting of whoever they are. And I think what lots of arguments come from when one person is trying to change the other, or if you have a disagreement on something. But I accept a lot of Jack's and Jack's traits.
Tell us about them, Liv.
No, I'm obviously I'm creative. I'm like a creative person, like naturally.
It's true though.
No, I am creative. Like
he's bonkers. He's totally bonkers.
I can see. It's quite lovely guy.
But if I tried to change him or like resisted it, then like it's only going to cause friction. So like I feel like a lot of people are like, oh well, he should be doing that. Or if I go for dinner and my friends are like moaning about their boyfriends, and I'm like, but why should he be doing that? Because you think he should be doing that. It's not like who's telling them that he should be like that. So I think if you're very accepting of whoever your partner is and who you want to spend your life with, if you're more accepting than trying to change them, it's way easier.
You struggle, mate.
He is a total pain in the ass.
So let me get this right, Liv. You're going to be walking for 7 days?
8 days.
8 days, a marathon a day.
Yeah.
And this is to raise some incredible funds for, is it the hospice that looks after your lovely mum?
Yes, so the whole Walk and Talk initiative is to help raise awareness for people who have lost someone close to them. Yeah. And I wanted to do a walk mainly because it means that people can join me along the way, and lots of people have experienced a loss in their lives, and lots of people struggle to talk about it. So if there can be an inspiration for them to come along and just talk about what they've been going through, that's, if I just help one person, like it would mean the world to me.
In terms of your experience, why is it, do you think, that people, without stating the obvious, but why do you think it is so hard for people to talk about things like that?
So I personally think that it's quite a taboo subject. When people go through loss, I think they struggle to bring it up into conversations, which I understand it's a really difficult topic to talk about. Yeah. But for me, I think you need to talk. If you've lost someone, you need to talk about them. Not every day, but you need to be able to bring them up into conversation, and without trying to pretend that they didn't exist.
Right.
Which I know lots of people grieve in different ways, but I honestly think if you've lost someone and you try and pretend that they didn't exist, it's going to be way harder for you along the line that if you could just bring them up in like natural conversation every single day. Like I always talk about if we're doing something or being somewhere, I'm like, oh my God, my mum would have loved this. And I think it's about like, that means then whoever I'm with feels comfortable talking about it as well. And I think it's good to just have that space where you know that it is really hard to lose someone, but being able to talk about them is really important.
I think that's a really important and lovely message you're bringing out there, because I think you're right. If you haven't experienced this, I think it does get people nervous. Yeah. Or even if you have experienced, you still may be nervous talking about it. But the advice you're giving is actually are you saying you've got to be open about it? And I guess you'll learn talking to someone if they don't want to talk about it, but don't put that perception in place that they won't be.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I think as well, big thing, like we get it all the time, which is it is a great thing on socials and people reaching out to the brand, is like, I heard your story, and then they feel willing to share their own. So they're obviously wanting to get it off the chest. So we have people message all the time, every single day, consistently, being like, I lost my mum, I lost my dad, it's going through a really hard time, something's going on with my family, whatever. And so they're sharing their story to us just because Liv shared her own. So that's sort of like the message that people obviously feel better getting it out there, but they might find it hard to just go to a friend and just tell everyone or get it out. They're not just going to put it all over social media in that way. So it's that being willing to open up. And I think like Liv, for you, Liv's always walking. Like in the morning she'll go for a walk, and then walking home from work and stuff like that. I just drive everywhere. But it's obviously a time to think and reflect and stuff. So that's why I think as well you wanted to do it as a moment so everyone could actually come on this walk, spread hopefully a good message, and use it as a time to actually talk and open up and probably get things which you'll feel better talking about.
Yeah, and create a safe space for people as well. And
it is, I guess you feel in such a privileged position to have a brilliant business that is in an honour of such a special person, right? I mean, that's a lovely position to be in, isn't it?
Definitely.
And again, why it's one of the lovely stories I've heard. Just moving to the future of the business. You know, you mentioned, and I could see the whites of his eyes as he was mentioning it, the 50, the 100 million turnover.
Yeah.
In terms of the growth, what lies ahead? What are some of the key milestones you want to hit? How are you going to get there? Talk us through, because I believe you're going to get there. How and when you see this journey happening and unfolding? Yeah, no,
it is something I think about all the time. We've got a big US presence in the business, which is a bit unique.
How much so?
50% of our revenues in the US.
50%?
Yeah.
How has that happened? Literally, so many people want to crack America. How have you done it in? Yeah,
no, it's a bit bizarre. We understand our UK customer really well because obviously we're like constantly speaking with them on calls, and we do have the same thing like Zoom calls. But I think the US, they obviously like the fact it's British.
Yeah.
It's US have more disposable income, so it's probably it feels more affordable. It's actually quite easy to ship from the UK to the US because there's no import. So we've managed to like structure the business in a way where it is in that way. So we do have a really core market there. But I think our next level of growth will just be trying to dominate and own the UK. So we need, like, not enough people know about us is the main thing. And I say it to the team all the time, is like, for us to double our business, we just need to double the awareness because we're doing everything else quite well. So obviously rolling out into key retail partners, we've got an initiative which I can't actually talk about, which is rolling out later this year. No, we can't. But it's going to be really disruptive in the jewellery space. But you're going to be seeing a lot of us in more of like a physical environment.
Really?
We're not going to have loads and loads of stores, but you will see us. It's in a pop-up style where we'll be hopefully all over the country.
Really? Brilliant.
But there's a market there. There's a market there for what we want. So we should have good growth. But I think I'm viewing this like, we're not viewing this as that we want to be out of the business in 2 years' time. Because if we did, I know what we exactly would do, and we could pump growth hard. I think we're looking for, we're thinking of this in a 10-year minimum time horizon when we're trying to make decisions. Yeah, 10, 20, 30 years.
Because it is a family business, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the way it will be built. Obviously, on the journey, we'll have opportunities, and sometimes, we don't know what we're doing in a year from now. So things massively can change, but we're looking on a long-term time horizon.
In terms of, I know we've mentioned your background, but can I just pick into your previous entrepreneur rodeo? Because it was a successful one, wasn't it? Because again, Jack, when I was stalking you and starting to really find out about this awesome business, there was a great article in the mainstream press about a business that you built, which was serving Premiership football players. You had some superstars who were buying trainers from you.
Yeah, exactly
so
that.
So they'd come to your place and you'd basically say, what do you want? You'd either source it or you'd have it, right?
Just
tell us a little bit, because it sounds like it was brilliant.
No, it's quite interesting. So I've always been really entrepreneurial. So I had multiple businesses when I was I think my first business was probably 16, 17. I've always had I basically I was ingrained in me. I've always had a strong work ethic. So I was working on, say, a building site from 14 years old. I'm making bacon butties. Every job under the sun, I had it. And I've always been, I know it sounds bad, but obsessed with making money, but not for money's sake. I like the finer things in life.
The fun of it.
But I enjoy the hustle. How can we do more? That really gives me a buzz. So I was working on a building site, earning 40 quid a day. Then I started buying and selling stuff on eBay, and I'd be like, this is way easier. I can do this from my bedroom. I don't have to go out on that building site, and then you'd come home covered in concrete and whatever. So it just didn't really suit me. So I figured I can make money another way. So I started businesses selling on ASOS Marketplace, selling headphones, drop shipping. I tried a lot, cleaning business, which went terribly. But I soon learned, which is interesting with Louise, is that the product side of things doesn't really ignite me, and I'm obsessed with jewelry now just because I'm in the field, but it's not the product which really excites me. So if you look at a entrepreneur like Steve Jobs, he was obsessed with the iPhone. That's not me. I'm obsessed with the business. If I had to have a waste management company, or if I met someone in a pub and they had that and they're like, how do I scale? I'll be obsessed with that. That would really excite me. So I was always obsessed with business, and I was thinking, okay, I'm not obsessed with products, so I need to sell stuff people already want. at the time, people really wanted trainers. So I was at uni, I set up, I sort of liked trainers myself, but I'd go camp out. There'd be limited edition like Nikes. You'd go camp out the night before, you could buy them and sell them and make like 300 quid. Well, the difficulty with the business is I'm very ambitious and I'm always looking to go to the next level, but where I didn't control the supply chain, so say if I had 20 clients and they all wanted a certain shoe, but there was only 10 in the UK, I couldn't facilitate that. So I couldn't facilitate that next level of growth because I didn't own the shoe. I couldn't make any more. So that's where I sort of knew, as obviously Louise was growing, that I needed to be involved with a business where I could control the supply chain, control the product. Brand building is something like I don't know a huge amount about, which is sort of obviously why we got Steve involved, why we're really trying to build the brand, which will take us to that next level. But it's that understanding of, I had to basically not take a step back, but that business was doing very well. But I knew that for me to hopefully go to the next level, it would be obviously with Louise.
And obviously Louise is the better business.
It is. Way simpler.
But as Jack was talking then, you're taking us back to telling his mum. Sorry, your mum saying don't, you're saying
Yeah.
I kind of really get the you guys really been through everything together, haven't you, with this? And
no, we've had some, I know people obviously see like everything looks great, but we've had some dark moments is the wrong word, but obstacles. Tough times. Not in terms of like, we haven't had anything really bad.
Business-wise?
Yeah. It's been okay. Probably just like things go wrong all the time. Just expect it and then you don't act surprised. But yeah, you have stuff like that. You have things go wrong and it's normal. It's business, isn't it?
Guys, listen, thank you so much for coming in today. It's just brilliant to hear the story. The why of how this business is created, but just the dynamic between you guys. Just obviously two incredibly savvy business people that who obviously love each other loads. So listen, thank you so much for coming. It's been absolutely
fantastic
to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Liv. It's been great.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.